Picture this, a ferocious storm tearing through the Caribbean, uprooting lives and leaving behind a trail of devastation that has left countless families shattered and communities grappling with unimaginable loss. Hurricane Melissa has struck with unrelenting force, impacting Jamaica, Cuba, and Haiti in ways that demand our attention and empathy. But here's where it gets intriguing. While the immediate chaos is clear, the long-term ripple effects, from economic strain to questions about preparedness, are sparking heated debates. Dive in as we unpack the full story, drawing on first-hand accounts and expert insights to make sense of it all for everyone, beginners included. And this is the part most people miss: how even regions not directly in the storm's path felt its wrath, reminding us of the interconnectedness of our world. Reporting from Santiago de Cuba, the aftermath of Hurricane Melissa reveals a heartbreaking scene of at least dozens of fatalities and extensive ruin spanning Cuba, Haiti, and Jamaica. On Wednesday, landscapes were transformed by homes stripped of roofs, utility poles lying in disarray, and furniture soaked through by relentless floods. This powerful tempest, classified as a Category 5 hurricane, meaning it packed the highest possible winds, capable of causing catastrophic damage like leveling structures or uprooting trees with ease, has underscored just how vulnerable coastal areas can be to nature's fury. In Jamaica's St. Elizabeth Parish, a massive landslide obstructed key highways in Santa Cruz, turning roads into treacherous muddy quagmires. Locals were seen bailing out water from their residences while attempting to rescue what they could from the deluge. Fierce gusts even tore portions of the roof from a local high school that doubled as a community refuge, highlighting the storm's indiscriminate impact on essential services. As the hurricane surged through the Caribbean, inhabitants in Cuba were still fleeing their dwellings, bracing for its arrival on the island's coastline. Video footage captured by AP journalists Ariel Fernandez, Matias Delacroix, and Jordany Jr. Verdu paints a vivid picture of the ongoing evacuation efforts. One resident, Jennifer Small, shared her shock, exclaiming, "I've lived here my whole life, but nothing compares to this." The true scale of the destruction remained uncertain on Wednesday, with pervasive blackouts and hazardous conditions hampering assessments. Jamaica's Education Minister, Dana Morris Dixon, cautioned, "It's premature to make firm conclusions at this stage." Melissa first slammed into Jamaica on Tuesday, with peak winds roaring at 185 miles per hour, equivalent to about 295 kilometers per hour, earning it a spot among the most intense Atlantic hurricanes ever documented. It later diminished in strength as it headed toward Cuba, yet its influence extended far beyond its direct trajectory, affecting even distant nations through secondary disruptions, like disrupted trade or scattered weather patterns. But here's where it gets controversial. With climate scientists pointing to rising global temperatures as a potential amplifier of such extreme weather events, some argue that human activities are escalating the frequency and severity of hurricanes. Is this a natural disaster exacerbated by our choices, or simply an unavoidable act of nature? What do you think? Does this shift the blame, and how should we respond as a global community? Share your thoughts in the comments below. In Haiti, the Civil Protection Agency updated figures, now reporting at least 23 deaths and 13 individuals still unaccounted for, a downward adjustment from earlier counts. The majority of the fatalities, 20, and 10 of the missing, originate from the southern seaside village of Petit-Goâve, where torrents of water caused numerous buildings to crumble. It's worth noting that casualty numbers after such calamities can vary initially due to factors like delayed reporting or rescue operations uncovering more victims, a reality that underscores the challenges in real-time disaster management. Meanwhile, the U.S. Department of Defense shared aerial footage from within Hurricane Melissa, captured by a dedicated team from the U.S. Air Force Reserve's 53rd Weather Reconnaissance Squadron, affectionately dubbed the Hurricane Hunters. These brave aviators conducted multiple fly-throughs on Monday, gathering vital meteorological data to inform forecasts from the National Hurricane Center. Cuba faced its own trials on Wednesday, with reports of homes caving in, mountainous routes barricaded, and rooftops lifted off structures. the most severe impacts were centered in the southwest and northwest regions, where roughly 735,000 individuals sought safety in designated havens. Santiago de Cuba resident Reinaldo Chiron, 52, described his ordeal, saying, "It was pure hell all through the night, as he navigated the lingering drizzle under a makeshift plastic cover." Shifting focus to Jamaica, the response has been swift yet challenging. Over 25,000 people crowded into emergency shelters by Wednesday, with even more arriving as the storm left roofs shredded and families displaced. Minister Dixon revealed that 77% of the island lacked electricity, complicating recovery. Richard Thompson, head of the Office of Disaster Preparedness and Emergency Management, spoke of a complete communications blackout in affected zones, making evaluations tough, as he told Nationwide News Network. Prime Minister Andrew Holness reassured the nation in a statement, "Rebuilding will be a journey, but our administration is fully committed. Aid is being assembled, and we're working tirelessly to bring back stability as soon as possible." In the coastal town of Black River, home to around 5,000 souls in Jamaica's southwest, local leaders at a press briefing urgently called for assistance. Mayor Richard Solomon labeled the situation catastrophic beyond words, noting that rescue capabilities were obliterated, hospitals, police stations, and emergency units overwhelmed by flooding, rendering them inoperative. Even the storage site for relief goods was wrecked. Nearby, 84-year-old David Machette sat amid the debris of his roofless dwelling in southwest Jamaica, lamenting the total loss of his possessions. Pointing to his drenched belongings and a chunk of roof clogging the roadway, he pleaded, "I need support desperately." Authorities aim to resume operations at Jamaica's airports by Thursday to expedite the delivery of critical supplies. The United States has pledged rescue and recovery squads to bolster efforts across the Caribbean, as announced by Secretary of State Marco Rubio on X. Coordination is underway with officials in Jamaica, Haiti, the Dominican Republic, and the Bahamas. Tragically, Southwest Jamaica's St. Elizabeth Police Superintendent Coleridge Minto reported discovering at least 4 bodies, while State Minister Abga Fitzhenley mentioned another fatality in the west, where a falling tree claimed the life of an infant. Prior to its landfall, Melissa was linked to 3 deaths in Jamaica, 3 in Haiti, and 1 in the Dominican Republic. In Cuba's eastern province of Santiago de Cuba, folks were already tidying up rubble from collapsed walls as Melissa had hit just hours before. Fisherman Alexis Ramos, 54, reflected on his ruined home, stating, "What truly counts is survival. Fixing this will demand substantial funds." Images from local outlets depicted the Juan Bruno Zayas Clinical Hospital in disrepair, shattered glass, demolished lobbies, and masonry strewn about. President Miguel Diaz-Canel posted on X that dawn was incredibly challenging. "Once it's safe, we'll launch restoration. We're equipped for it." This disaster could intensify Cuba's ongoing economic hardships, already characterized by frequent power failures and scarcities of fuel and groceries, turning recovery into an even steeper uphill battle. Cuba's National Institute of Hydraulic Resources measured up to 15 inches, about 38 centimeters of precipitation in Charco Redondo, and 14 inches, roughly 36 centimeters, in Las Villas Reservoir, illustrating the sheer volume of water that fueled the chaos. As is Wednesday afternoon, Melissa maintained sustained winds of 100 miles per hour, 155 kilopascal, and was advancing northeast at 15 miles per hour, 24 kilopascal, per the U.S. National Hurricane Center in Miami. Positioned approximately 110 miles, 175 kilometers, south-southeast of the Bahamas Central Region, the storm was beginning to influence the southeastern islands. Bahamian authorities evacuated numerous residents from the archipelago's southeastern tip in anticipation. National Hurricane Center Director Michael Brennan explained, "The system is expanding, with tropical storm-level winds now spanning nearly 200 miles, 320 kilometers from its core. Forecasts indicate Melissa's eye passing through the southeastern Bahamas later Wednesday, potentially bringing up to 7 feet, 2 meters of storm surge. By late Thursday, it's projected to skirt just west of Bermuda. And this is the part most people miss. While we focus on immediate relief, the broader implications, like how such events test international cooperation or highlight inequalities in disaster resilience, often go unnoticed. But here's where it gets controversial. Some critics argue that wealthier nations' emissions are disproportionately fueling these storms, raising questions of global responsibility. Should affected countries demand reparations, or is aid enough? Do governments' responses, sometimes criticized as slow in poorer regions, reflect deeper systemic issues? We invite you to weigh in, agree or disagree with these viewpoints, and let's discuss in the comments. Your perspectives could spark meaningful dialogue. Contributions to this piece came from reporters Rodriguez in Havana, Myers in Santa Cruz, Jamaica, and Sanin in Port-au-Prince, Haiti, along with Danica Cotto in San Juan, Puerto Rico, and Sophia Riddle in Montgomery, Alabama.